Hi, second graders. Welcome back to your TV classroom. Today is Friday, March 12th. We've made it. We did it, Mr. Kevin. We made it to Friday.
Woohoo!
I love that every week there's a day we get to celebrate that we made it to. It's the best. Friends, before we get learning today, let's check in with our zone. How are you feeling today? Now, sometimes your brain is in one zone, your emotions are in another zone, and your body is in another zone. And that's when we start to feel kind of confused about our feelings. But that's okay, that's really normal. What zone are you in, Mr. Kevin?
I am in the green zone.
Ooh, he's in the green zone.
Yeah. So
Just feeling green today.
just feeling green today.
Awesome.
And how about you, Mrs. Waller?
You know, my brain and my body are my brain and my emotions are squarely in the green zone, but my body's a little bit in the blue zone. But that's okay. I'm gonna say I'm in the green zone, but just identify that my body's not feeling like its best self today. But I don't let that stop me from doing my job or from learning. I just keep moving forward, right?
That's right.
That's right. All right, friends, it's Fact Fun Friday. Take a look. What is 70 minus 59? Well, 70 minus 60 is 10. But 59 is one less, so I just add 1 to that. So 70 minus 59 must be, well, you would like to know, wouldn't you? But I would have to have turned my pen on. 11. 70 minus 34. Well, 70 minus 30 is 40. 40 minus 4. I've got it. 36. Want to know how I did it? I was kind of mumbling it. I had 70 and I took away 30 and that got me to 40. And then from 40 I took away 4 and that got me to 36. Yes, Mr. Kevin?
I used the fact that I know that 35 is half of 70.
Oh, okay, let me write this. So 35, so 70 is made up of 35 and 35. And then what did you do?
And then I said, well, 34 is just one less than 35.
So
I
you
have
took
to-
this, you took
Yeah.
1 from over here, and you said, okay, not 35 anymore, 34, and you tossed the other one over here, so that's 36.
36.
So then you know, because this is the part of 34 here, the other part is 36.
Yeah.
Oh, what a great mental strategy.
Thank you.
70 minus 49. Well, 70 minus 50 is 20. But this is 1 less, so I've got to toss 1 back. So 70, watch, because if I do this, let me show you. 70 minus 49. I'm going to borrow 1 from over here and make this 50. And that's going to go down by 1. And that's going to be 20. 50 and 20 make 70, right? But it's not 50, it's 49. So I've got to take 1 back from here and put it over here, and it's going to be 21. That's Mr. Kevin's strategy. We'll call that the Mr. Kevin strategy. 21. So when you see something that ends in a 9, use the Mr. Kevin strategy. Or even ends in an 8 because you can toss 2, right? So let's try it. 76 minus 38. Well, we're going to make this 40. We're going to borrow 2 from this side we don't know yet and make this 40. What's 76 minus 40? 36. Well, we've got to toss 2 back. So 36, 37, 38. It's 38. Mr. Kevin, thanks for that great strategy.
Oh, you are welcome.
You know what I kind of think of it like? Like I've got 2 cups here and they're full of marbles. And so I had to take away 38, so I borrowed from this one too to make it 40 because that's a friendlier number. And then I just pay back the thing I borrowed
Yeah,
to make it even.
I like that.
78 minus 18. Let's try it again. 78 minus 18. We're going to borrow 2 from this right side. We don't know what it is yet. We know there's some there, though. So we're going to take 2, and we're going to make this 20. So 78 minus 20 is 58. But then we got to put 2 back. 59, 60. The answer is 60. Or you might go, well, 78 minus 10 is 68 minus 8 is 60. That's another strategy you can use. Today we're learning to use place value chart or drawing. Oh, I forgot a comment. Place value chart or drawing and an open number line to add 3-digit numbers. So you get to choose place value chart, drawing, or an open number line. I messed up that sentence right there, so I'm going to fix it. So place value chart, comma, drawing, or an open number line to add 3-digit numbers. We have already done facts. We're going to skip past that today. Let's read this together. Janelle has 263 pennies and 137 nickels in her piggy bank. How many pennies and nickels in all does she have in her piggy bank? What's happening? What's going on? Yeah, this person has a piggy bank. You know, I've been trying, Mr. Kevin, I've been looking to get Oliver a piggy bank, and I can't decide which kind to give him because I gave him a $5 bill, and he has it sitting in his play kitchen, and he plays with it and then puts it back. But I kind of want to get that $5 bill in the piggy bank so he doesn't lose it.
How about a baby Yoda piggy
Oh,
bank?
he doesn't really know Yoda,
Oh, okay.
but maybe I could do a train or a dinosaur.
Or
I
a
don't know,
little
we'll see.
fire truck.
Good old piggy banks. So this person has a piggy bank and they have pennies and nickels in it. Let's read and find out what we're trying to solve. What are we trying to figure out? What are we needing to do in this problem? Math story problems are all about the mystery and solving a mystery. So if you like mysteries, then you will really start to learn to love story problems because it's about finding the solution to the mystery. Janelle has 263 pennies and 137 nickels in her piggy bank. How many pennies and nickels in all does she have in her piggy bank? Our question is, how many pennies and nickels in all does she have in her piggy bank? So let's draw a model here on the screen of the situation and the question mark. Janelle has some, instead of the number, we're just going to say some. Janelle has some pennies and some nickels. Pennies, P, N for nickels. What's the question? How many pennies and nickels does she have in her piggy bank? Well, that means I need to figure out how many pennies and nickels altogether. So there's my question mark. Let's find our information to put in our model. Highlighter, green. Janelle has 263 pennies. There's some 263 pennies and 137 nickels. We can put those in our model. So what are we going to do? How many pennies did it say? 263. How many nickels did it say? 137. I'm going to give you 2 minutes to solve this. Go ahead and solve. Okay. Mr. Kevin, can you show my whiteboard? I did this a few ways. So I wrote my equation. First, I did the number line. I started at 263 and I added the 100. So I pulled it apart to the hundreds, the tens, and the ones. Then I said, well, I'm at 263 and I need to add a 7. That's going to get me to a 10. So I'm just going to do that right now because I know when I add, I can do it in any order and I'll get the same sum. So I added 7 and I got to 370, and then I added the 30 and I got to 400. And I thought, that was across some zeros and things, so I'm gonna go ahead and do a drawing and check. So I drew 200 right here, 200, and then I drew 63, and then I drew another 100, and then I drew 37, and this became a 10, so I made it a 10, and then I said, hey, wait a minute, I have 10 tens, and that's gonna make 100, so now I don't count these. I've like traded and traded. And now I have another 100 here. So I have 4 hundreds, and my answer is correct. It's 400. Is that what you did? Or did you maybe do it a different way? Maybe you added all the hundreds together, all the tens together, all the ones together. That works too. So, let's look at this place value chart. This is a different way that I didn't do it. Take a look. You can use a place value chart. Write the numbers in the chart, regroup the tens and ones. Did anyone do this? Let's take a look at what they did. Let's see if it makes sense. So I'm gonna get my highlighter because I wanna highlight some things as we talk about it. So we have the first added 263 and the second added 137. So the first thing they did is they added the hundreds, add the tens, and add the ones. They added the ones and they got 10 ones. They added the tens and they got 9 tens, and then they added the hundreds and they got 3 hundreds, but this isn't a number. 3 hundreds, 9 tens, 10 ones does not create a number if we just write all of those digits down, because if we write all those digits down, this is what happens. And that's not correct, because if I add something that's 200 and 100, I'm not gonna get 3,000. That's not reasonable. So I know as a mathematician, that's not reasonable, so I need to do something different. And there's 10 in a place value. Do we allow a 10 to stay in a place value and not regroup it? Nope, we don't. So let's take a look at the regrouping. So we have this 10. We regrouped it, and we added it over here. And when I added a 10 to this 9, it made 10 tens. So guess what I have to do? I have to regroup it and add another 100. And if I add 100 to 300s, how many hundreds do I get? 4 hundreds. And how many tens if I've regrouped all of the tens? 0. And how many ones if I've regrouped all of the ones? 0. This is why, friends, when you might hear people say, oh, just carry the 1. You've probably heard that. That's what you're doing here. Let me show you. 263 plus 137. What they're actually meaning is this. Well, 3 ones and 7 ones is a 10. And a 10 has 0 ones and 1 group of 10. 1 10 plus 6 tens plus 3 tens is 10 tens. 10 tens has 0 tens, and it's actually 1 group of 100. 1 group of 100 plus 2 groups of 100 plus another group of 100 is 400. That's what that means. So we're showing you what you're doing when you're putting that 1 in that other place value when you get 10 or higher when you add a place value. Oh, look, you can use an open number line. Now look, theirs is different than mine. They thought 263, I know a 7's gonna get me to the next 10. I thought, well, 100's really easy to add, so I'm gonna add that first. You can do it either way. And then they added 30, and then they added 100. So they did 7, which made it 270, plus 30 made it 300, plus 100 made it 400. You could even add 30 first if you wanted to. That's whatever makes sense in your brain. So, how many hundreds, tens, and ones should be in the last row of the place value chart? That's back to here. How many hundreds, tens, and ones? 4 hundreds. Whoops, I'm on white. That's not going to work. 4 hundreds, 0 tens, and 0 ones. What number does that show? 400. Okay, we're going to move on because I think we understand that. I want to go to this last problem. What is 524 plus 278? Show your work. You ready? I'm going to give you 1 minute. Use whichever strategy works for you and makes sense to you for this problem. I would love it if you tried the place value strategy. And go. Okay, Mr. Kevin, can you show my board? You should have gotten an answer of 802. I did 4 plus 8 is 12, 2 plus 7 is 9, 5 plus 2 is 7. I'm doing the place value strategy. So I know now I need to look in here and see if there's any groups of 10 or more. And there was. There was a 12, and I know a 12 is made of 10 and 2. So I took that 10, and I made it into one group of 10 over here in the tens place value. But I still have my 2 left over, so I put that down here. I added these together. 9 and 1 is 10 tens, and I put that here. And then I just brought my 7 down, because it's still 7, it hasn't changed. Then I went, oh no, my 10, I can't do that. So what do I have to do? Well, it's a group of 10, so 10 tens, that makes one group of 100, and put that over here. Now I have nothing left in the tens place. But I have 700s and 100, which makes 800, and I get an answer of 802. Or I could do this, 524 plus 200 equals 724 plus 70, which is 794, plus 8 is going to be 802. You'd get the same answer. Today, your assignment is to do page 447 and 448 in your math workbook. Practicing this adding and using place value to help you. Using expanded notation, place value charts, open number lines, place value drawings, base 10 blocks, whatever you need to use to make it make sense, use those things, but make sure you can explain how you know you needed to regroup. Today, we learned to use a place value chart, hold on, drawing, or an open number line to add 3-digit numbers. We modeled the problem, we wrote the equation that matched, we used place value or an open number line to find a solution, and we checked our solution for accuracy. Nice work, friends. Mr. Kevin, how can they contact us here at the TV Classroom?
With your questions, drawings, anything you like, really. Send it to TV Classroom at tacoma.k12.wa.us. You can also send something straight in the mail to us, and we will always email or mail you back. Right? TV Classroom, 601 South 8th Street, Tacoma, Washington, 98405.
Awesome. All right. Oh, friends, I just exited out Mr. Kevin. Oh, my brain. Oh. Come on, brain, you can do it. I believe in you. Friends, thank you for being here with me. I thought our lesson was done. I was closing out, ready to move on to my next filming. Oh well. Friends, up next is Miss Oslin. She is going to be doing an ELA lesson with you. Make sure you have your ELA materials ready to go. I hope you have a great rest of your day and have a great weekend. My brain is ready for the weekend. I will see you later. Bye.
Rules. 1. You have 10 seconds to pick your crewmate. 2. A new timer will appear with an exercise for the crewmate you picked. 3. You will get 10 points for each correct crewmate and exercise you choose. 4. If you pick the imposter, you will lose all your points. 5. See how many points you can get. Good luck.
Hi, second graders. Welcome back from your break. I see that you have your materials for today's lesson. You can go ahead and take everything, just put it off to the side. You won't need it yet, but go ahead and hold on to your Learning Buddy if they are going to help you focus. Today, we are learning how illustrations, those are the pictures in stories, contribute to the tone of a story and add information to enhance the text. Now, what that means is the illustrations can change how the story feels, and they can give us more information than just the words would give us. We read Patricia Polacco's book, The Keeping Quilt, and today we're going to look at just the pictures again and compare the illustrations in this book to another book that we're going to read. So let's remind ourselves, what did we notice or think about the illustrations in The Keeping Quilt? Let me show you the first page. Take some think time. Turn and tell your Learning Buddy what you're thinking about the illustrations. Gus, I remember Mr. Kevin and I talked when we read this book about how her dress and her babushka, that's her head covering, are the only things that were in color, and everything else was in black and white, or almost like brown and white, very muted tones. Now you'll remember the story of The Keeping Quilt follows this dress and her babushka and other pieces of clothing from important people in our character's life to create a quilt. And this quilt stayed in this family for over 100 years, and it was used in lots of different ways. So you'll see in this picture, you'll remember that this is them taking different pieces of fabric and sewing them together. And again, the color is just for the quilt. The quilt was used as in many of their family members' wedding ceremonies, and many babies were first cuddled up in this quilt. There's more babies. Even Patricia Polacco herself welcomed her babies into the world with this quilt. Now, the colors of the Keeping Quilt, while they're very bright on the quilt, that lets us know that that is really where Patricia Polacco wants us to focus our attention. And notice how the drawings of the people are. Do some noticing there. Turn and tell your Learning Buddy what you're noticing about the drawings. Gus, it's almost like they're done with pencil or charcoal. It's kind of like a sketch. But then the quilt is more like paint or markers. Okay, keep that in mind as we read a new book today called The Day of Ahmed's Secret by Florence Perry Hyde and Judith Hyde Gilliland, illustrated by Ted Lewin. Now, this story has pictures that are very different than Patricia Polacco's. So we're going to compare, talk about how they're similar, and we're going to contrast, talk about how they are different. And think about the feeling of this story, and think about what information we're getting from the illustrations. Today, I have a secret, and all day long, my secret will be like a friend to me. Tonight, I will tell my family, but now I have work to do in my city. My donkey pulls the cart I ride on. I have many stops to make today. The streets are crowded. Everyone is going somewhere. Like me, everyone has something important to do, and they are making such a noise of it. Now, I'm just noticing in that picture, it's very busy. There's a lot of details. There's a lot going on. It's almost like the picture itself is loud. That's very different from Patricia Polacco's, where her drawings were rather simple and the only color was in the quilt. All kinds of sounds, maybe every sound in the world, are tangled together. Trucks and donkeys, cars and camels, carts and buses, dogs and bells, shouts and calls and whistles and laughter all at once. I have a sound too, the sound my cart makes, karink, rink, rink, karink, rink. I know my sound helps to make the whole sound of the city, and it would not be the same without me. Loudest of all to me today is the silent sound of my secret, which I have not yet spoken. Over all the noise, I hear my name, Ahmed, Ahmed, and my name becomes part of the city sound too. It is Hassan calling to me. He leans over the counter of his cart, and the bright colors of the cart mingle with the other colors of the street, the way the noises all go together to make the sound of the city. My special colors are part of the city too. Woven into the harness of my donkey are my own good luck ones, blue, green, and gold. Hassan hands me a dish of beans and noodles and says, "And how does the day of my friend the Buddha Gats boy?" As I eat, Hassan and I laugh together at his jokes and stories. Always when I come home at sundown, I tell his stories to my family, but tonight will be different. I will have my secret to tell them. I have been saving it until tonight. Now someone else comes to Hassan's cart and I wave goodbye. I must hurry now if I am to get all my work finished today. Now, the pictures are adding a lot of information to the words that our author has provided us. The author has told us how busy it is, how loud it is, all the different sounds. And we can see that in the pictures too. We can see how many people there are, and they're all moving around and they're all doing different things. There's different animals and carts. That's part of how these pictures are adding to the story. They're enhancing it to make it easier for you and I to really understand the story. The first place I go is the home of the old woman. She has been waiting for me. "Ahmed, Ahmed," she calls. "Are you bringing me the fuel for my stove?" The woman is leaning out of her window. I look up and smile. I am proud that I can carry these big, heavy bottles all the way up the steps to the floor where she lives. I am proud that I can do this work to help my family. I make more stops, and now I am hungry again. I look for the bright red and yellow cart where I can buy my lunch, and I find it in its usual place near the old building. I buy my beans and rice and sit in the shade of the old wall. My father has told me the wall is 1,000 years old, and even our great-great-grandfathers are not yet born when it was built. There are many old buildings, many old walls like this one I lean against in the city. I close my eyes and have my quiet time, the time my father says I must have each day. If there are no quiet spaces in your head, it fills with noise, he has told me. He has shown me how to find my way in the city, and he has taken me to each place where I now have to bring the heavy bottles. Now I'm noticing, do you see Ahmed there on the right side in the shadows? Look at the tones around him. Look at the colors around him. He's having his quiet space. And our illustrator has drawn pictures with more muted tones. They're not as bright. They're not as vibrant, because they wanted us to feel the calm and quiet that Ahmed is feeling right now. In those days, before I was strong enough to do this work alone, I would sit in the cart and watch my father lift and carry the bottles. One day, I told him that now I could do it by myself. He watched me try to take a heavy bottle from the cart. I could not do it, and I was ashamed. "Hurry to go strong, Ahmed," my father said on that day. For the first time I saw that, his face had a tired look, like the faces of the old men in the city. "Hurry to grow strong," he said again. but do not hurry to grow old. Now think about the seriousness of that conversation between Ahmed and his father, and look at the background of the picture. No distraction. Our illustrator really wanted us focused on that conversation. It must be really important. Now, as I lean against the old building, I think of the sea of sand that lies along our city. I have seen it stretching as far as the wind. My father says the wind carries sand all through the city to remind us that the desert is there beside us, and is a part of us. He tells me that the great desert presses against our city on one side, and the great river pushes against it on the other. We live between them, my father has said, between our two friends, the river and the desert. All over the world, people know of our city, he tells me, and they speak its name, Cairo. And they say the name of our great river, the Nile. And the desert, what is that called? I ask. My father shrugs and smiles. The hot winds call our desert home. He himself has never crossed the desert, but in the city are the caravans of camels and their riders who have crossed it many times, and the way the boats cross and recross the river. I lean against the wall and I think of these things and of my secret, but I must finish my work before I can go home. First, I try to knock the sand from my sandals. The sand is a part of each day, like the noise, like the colors of the city, like the things my father has said. On the way to my next stop, I see the boy who carries bread. From a window, a girl lowers a basket to him on a rope, and he puts some bread in the basket. Like me, he has many stops to make each day, but he is not strong enough to do what I do. No one lowers a rope to me for my heavy loads. No rope could carry what I carry. I hear the Rosewater man before I see him. He clicks 2 cups together as he walks along the street so people will hear him and come to him for a drink. I give him my smile. He does not give me his, but our eyes meet and we know we are connected to the same day and to the city. I do not buy his Rosewater, but seeing him has reminded me how hot and thirsty I am. I take a drink from the bottle of water I always carry in my cart. There are more stops to make and more times up and up narrow steps with my heavy load. And then I am back in my cart. Karink, rink, rink, karink, rink, rink. It is a long day. I think the moment will never come when I may share my secret. But of course, I know that each day ends and that every moment has its time to be. Okay, this next picture is going to be very different. Are you ready? Finally, I am home. It is sundown. It is the time of day when you cannot tell a white thread from a black one. My mother has already lighted the lanterns. Everyone is waiting for me. Instead of telling them about my day, I say, "Look, I have something to show you." It is time to tell my secret. I take a deep breath. Okay. What are you noticing about this picture and how it's different from the other ones? Take some think time. Turn and tell your learning buddy what you're thinking. Gus, the background is very, very dark. And that tells me, along with the words, that it's nighttime and that it's like really probably late because it is so dark. And our author even says, it is the time of day when you cannot tell a white thread from a black one because it's so dark. Look, I say, look, I can write my name. I write my name over and over as they watch, and I think of my name now lasting longer than the sound of it, maybe even lasting like the old buildings in the city, 1,000 years. I love that story. Now, we have read two very different books with two very different styles of illustrations, The Keeping Quilt and The Day of Ahmed's Secret. I want you to think about, I'm gonna ask you a couple questions now. What did you notice about the illustrations in these two books? How are they similar? How are they different? How do they add to the story? And do you think that the illustrations fit with the text and the type of story that it is? Take some think time. Turn and tell your learning buddy what you're thinking. Gus, I noticed that Patricia Polako's drawings they seem pretty realistic, but also slightly exaggerated drawings of people. And the illustrations in The Day of Ahmed's Secret was pretty realistic and had a more serious tone than Patricia Polako's story. The Keeping Quilt was more like lighthearted about the quilt and to follow it through history, and Ahmed's was a little more like darker, like, oh, I have a secret. Now you might have had a different thinking about how the drawings in these books are similar or different. And when you're doing your independent writing today and your independent reading, pay close attention to the illustrations and think about, does that type of illustration fit with the mood or the tone or the information that the author and illustrator are trying to convey or give to the reader? You're gonna notice on your Features of Personal Narrative Writing chart that one of the features is many stories have illustrations, and people are interacting, showing relationships and emotions. And people can look real or not. And you're gonna think, when you are doing your writing today, you're gonna use illustrations to contribute to the tone of a story and add information to enhance the text, just like in our two texts, The Keeping Quilt and The Day of Ahmed's Secrets. And we would love to see what you are doing to add to your writing by adding illustrations. Mr. Kevin, how can our second graders send us their drawings?
Well, second graders, make sure that you hurry to grow strong, but not to grow old. And send it to TV Classroom at tacoma.k12.wa.us, or you can send it here to the headquarters of TV Classroom at 601 South 8th Street, Tacoma, Washington, 98405.
Thank you, Mr. Kevin. Now, second graders, our affirmation is, I can hurry to grow strong. Strong as a reader, strong as a writer, strong as a mathematician and a scientist and a person, a contributing member of our society. I can hurry to grow strong. Say that out loud with me. I can hurry to grow strong. Excellent job today. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I look forward to seeing you back here next time in our TV classroom. Bye.
Hey kids, we want to see your work. Just send your pictures and your stories to TV Classroom, 601 South 8th Street, Tacoma, Washington, 98405.